Where is pro tem seats?
Every time.
Make no sense.
That's that right
Can you look at it?
now. It's on the appointment.
I just feel it's like an harassment, it's nightmare. And they've been sending them here, and I haven't finished. I thought they did. It's totally got big shoulders. He can have it. He can have it.
We want to see how wide this is.
It's good. I think they say all the time. I knew you would take that position, Miss Canal.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'll start to.
It was, I just looked at that, and we heard, there was a lot of information.
No, I'll just,
You have it?
I don't, I have the one from Monday's
I don't
meeting.
think we need better information.
Send the clerk. They can show what, what's on the screen, they can see what the.
I'll call this meeting to order. It is now 5:33. Nobody's here to look at minutes that hasn't had questions, so.
What?
I didn't see any changes to, or additions to the March, meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, could you talk into the mic, please? Because we know that there's been a problem with hearing us.
Okay. Testing. I'd like to, I have no problem with, March's, minutes that were in my packet. So those were fine. The next item on the agenda is approval of the acceptance of the HUD Economic Development Initiative Community Project Funding for $3 million. Just a little.
Thank you. If I could, please, because I simply forgot to put it on here, let me just take a moment and introduce Gabrielle Robinson.
Gabrielle, who is that?
Right-hand person, so that when you.
Gabrielle.
Yes.
Where's she at? Behind you. Oh,
Just wanted to introduce her. We've talked before about when we get new staff people to bring them and introduce them. She's been with me now, what's it been, 3 or 4 weeks? Yeah. And she's catching on rapidly, and I'm counting on having some real help there. Okay.
wonderful. Welcome, Gabrielle.
Thank you.
Yeah, why don't you take a moment and just kind of tell them about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold
So,
on for a minute, Gabrielle. Guys, can we take any personal conversations in the hallway? This is our new staff. She's introducing herself. And so just want to give everybody an opportunity who hasn't already met her.
yeah, so as Alex said, my name is Gabrielle Robinson. I've been on staff for about 4 weeks or so. My background is in public policy. I got my master's degree from Loyola University in public policy with a focus in evaluation of like federal and state-based programming. I got my undergraduate from Indiana University in sustainability and sociology and have been interested in local government since about that time. Yeah, so that's a brief intro of who I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Sounds like somebody can run the whole department. I mean, no pun intended.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Okay. I've put before you, I'd like to have it moved to the commission as a whole for passage on Monday, a resolution to accept the $3 million congressional allocation grant that we received for Ox Creek. Just to kind of explain how that works. When grants are the result of a congressional action, they select a department to put it through depending on what it's for. And in this instance, they put it through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, their unit directly out of Washington. This won't report to the same place that our CDBG does. This will report directly to Washington. But what I'm going to do is get a resolution approved to accept the grant so that finance can set up the paperwork and so forth to begin drawing it. And just by way of information, before we can really do anything with this, and I've been in communication with their environmental specialists. They've got one assigned for each state. They require that we do an environmental review that they approve before we can do anything. I might mention for purposes of those that I know will be interested, like Miss Juanita Henry, since this is a HUD grant, Section 3 does apply. Okay, thank you.
I have a
We
question.
should clap for that.
I have a-
Clap for everything else.
There are a couple questions. The first drawdown, once we approve this, when will the first drawdown occur for the funds? And with the environmental review, will the city have to pay for that, or is that included in the grant?
That's what I'm going to try and find out. I called today and then followed up with an email for the specialist to get in touch with me. The question is that considered soft costs by their definition? If so, they may allow us to do it before the grant is actually implemented. If not, we may have to do it. But three things have to take place before we can do it. I've got to submit to them, because they made a point of saying the information we submit to the congressman that he sets up his course doesn't go to them. I've got to put all of that together like we were applying for the grant to send to them, and also a budget for how we're going to use it. And that will be determined by us sitting down and looking at all of the funds that we have available and what items we have to do first. If we've got funding from these other sources to cover them, then we'll do it with the other monies. If not, then we'll do it with this, so we can make the whole project move forward.
What is the approximate cost associated with that? You don't know that yet.
You mean with Ox Creek?
Yeah, with the environmental cost, what is the?
Oh, the environmental costs, I don't know. As a matter of fact, I'm even gonna ask them if they might consider doing it for us, and if they did, what kind of time frame would that be? But you can be sure I'll be looking to save every dime for the city.
And when you talk about the congressman, you talk about Hudson, is this going through their
No,
office?
this was done by,
Hudson's,
before he left.
what I'm saying, but right now Hudson is, so it'll go through, pass through his office is the
No.
completion, oh, it won't.
No, it's
Okay.
directly from HUD to us.
Okay, wonderful.
As a matter of fact, it's my understanding that he may not have supported it, but
Right.
we're gonna work on trying
That's what I'm
to build a relationship there, so that we
Mm.
have some Congresswoman,
You're whispering now, I can hear.
I'm sorry,
Seven.
Stavinoff did support it.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yep.
right, that's interesting. All right, Commissioner.
Thank you. I guess I have a question for Mr. Little through the chair, and that's that these funds have already been targeted for a project, have they not?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
They're
Um,
all Ox Creek.
Yep. And I just found it interesting. I'm sorry I missed the event the cleanup, but I was in Baltimore taking care of some old city business, some actual global business. But I'm really impressed with just the realization of being heard to our higher elected officials. And I hope that we can do something with this funding that's coming down to show the federal government that this is the way it needs to be done.
Exactly.
It needs to come straight to municipalities and stop stopping in other places, and we only end up with crumbs and get nothing done. There's a gentleman that's going to be joining us, and I wish that you all would join the calls when we're on these calls with Freshwater Future. These are a wonderful group of people that are getting some things done with, these are our lobbyists that lobby for this money for us, along with some other folks in their respective communities. And they just happen to be communities of color. And I'm just happy to sit here today knowing that we're getting it done.
Thank you.
But there's a gentleman coming down to be watching that money and all other that come too. The federal government, we demanding, send somebody to follow the money every day.
I wanted to say, this project is like the lead line project, which we set a record and it's gotten attention across the country. This project is also getting attention in Washington
Yeah.
and many other places because of the collaboration that we created with this. We've got Eagle working with us, DNR working with us, Corps of Engineers working with us, US EPA regional offices
Everybody.
working with us. Parks, National Park Services will be working with us on this. As a matter of fact, next week, the new director of the Department of Natural Resources and the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy are coming over to spend time touring us with us.
Yep.
This project is really picking up steam. I'm very proud of it. And I think it's gonna do for the city what's intended. It's going to not only beautify and open up that area, but the intention is that it will be a catalyst to spread out from there and result in the housing development, the commercial development and everything.
Oh, no housing down there.
I have to say, my hats off to all of you all for supporting it and helping it go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Director
If I may,
She was next. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I heard her mention Freshwater Future.
yeah,
I've been in communication with them for years. And even before we even got addressed, well, came to you all about the water issues. I said you all because it was the commission as a whole that I brought this attention to. And they had been in touch with me since then on a very, we were on pretty regular basis that they were in touch with me. But my main reason I want to bring this up is on the subject of Ox Creek here, which I have quite a bit of concern. And if I understood Mr. Little, that they don't have an exact figure, or are you saying they do have an exact figure as to what it will cost for to do that entire job of doing Ox Creek? Because most of the times, whenever they're going to do a project, they have an estimated amount that it would cost to put this together. And so if we don't have anything there, they can bring in ever so many millions of dollars and never get through what they call busting the piggy bank, as long as they can get some money coming. So we should have something like figures as to give us sort of, normally they have a timeline and they have an estimated amount. And what percentage would this $3 million even bring to doing this particular project? Do it have an estimated value anywhere? So that's what I want to know. What is it really costing? And entails of doing this, what will be removed? What can we look for the full picture of what it looks like?
It's a fair question. And to start, the they is I. It's my responsibility to do that. The figure you're looking for is around $20 million when it's all done. That involves cleaning up the waterway. They've already put a couple of months ago, 12 sensors in the water from Highland all the way out to Napier to test what kind of contamination
Mhm.
still exists in what parts, which will determine and tell us how much cleanup we gotta do as far as any contamination. They'll be doing the same thing with the soil along the banks and then further in, and all of this stuff, of course, causes. They will be, Army Corps of Engineers is coming in. They've committed a certain amount of money to model the creek from out at Home Depot all the way down here. and they'll create what they call a HEC-RES picture of it, a moving type picture that they'll be able to put on a disc. They will model it to show where flooding is taking place right now. They will model it to show where flooding would take place if Lake Michigan was at the 500-year level.
Mhm.
And they'll model it to show what it would do if it was at the 100-year level. And then, of course, where it is now.
Speaking of the
Then
runoff.
they will insert into this various means
Mhm.
of controlling that flooding to
Mhm.
see what works. They'll set it up with trying to burn if they were to raise the level of the land along it. They'll try it with rock type barrier on the side.
Actually, to direct the water.
That's exactly right. And they'll be able,
Put it back.
they'll have it where we can actually look at it on
Control
the
it.
screen.
Mhm.
So
that's
Karen
the
can go
detail
canoeing.
of the kind of stuff they're doing. Now, this $20 million I'm talking about is gonna come in a lot of parts. Like, for instance, we just, and I think
Stick to the three.
in your package,
They said it was a 3-year, over a 3-year.
We talking about 3 million.
this project, to get it all completed, may easily run 5 years. But the big piece that you'll be able to visually see change, that will start to occur within the next 12 to 36 months. Because after we address the creek issues, once we get past October where we can do trees, in Michigan, you can't cut trees down between April and October because of the bats thing. So after October, we'll be going up through there, creating roads so that we can drive up through there, have trucks go in and start hauling out all of the refrigerators and stoves and tires and junk and all of that. That's gonna cost between $1 million and $1.5 million just to do that.
Marcy said they were getting ready to put in another retention pond out there by Myers.
Yes,
They are.
that will probably be taking place.
That's
very
some more
shortly.
money.
That will probably occur this year. And we just got, when I say it comes in pieces, we just got $975,000 awarded through NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. That's going to go through Southwest Michigan Planning Commission so that they can establish the new habitat and so forth that will go in along there and so forth, and a number of other things.
Are they working with Sarah and some of the other conservation?
With some of everybody that can be involved in, yes, they will. Sarah Nicholson and others. So that's what's taking place.
Well, the one other-
Piecing together
Right.
all of it.
The one other thing I'm thinking is that the money that's already had been invested in this project, is that part of the 20 million that you're talking about that it would cost?
Thank you. Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, even the Spark grant that we just celebrated is a part, because that's phase 1 of Hall Park. We anticipate 2 other phases, because if you remember, we said the total plan is about $3 million.
Okay, can we be clear when we're discussing this, Director Little through the chair, that when you explain what you're explaining, that you're not just talking about Benton Harbor's portion of the creek. You're way out in the township. And I think that no, wait,
That's correct.
the people of Benton Harbor needs to clearly understand that when you're talking about $20 million. The money that Benton Harbor is getting is for Benton Harbor portion of the creek and Hall Park. It's not for the township. I mean, it's for the overall project.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they are after their funds as well, but working collaboratively together, we're getting it done. Now, I spoke with Marcy that just happened to be down here at the creek the other day. Now, I know that the Brownfield 20 years ago we couldn't clean up down there and get the funding that we needed to start what's going on now, because it was said then that it would be millions and millions of dollars. Okay, granted. Moving fast forward, we in 23. But in 22, I think the Brownfield Authority Board, and I no, as a member, do not speak for the board as a whole, but I'm aware that this project was given $75,000
Yep.
to do baseline work that was already done.
Mhm.
Now, when I spoke to Miss Marcy the other day down here at the creek, she said that it wasn't as bad as they actually thought it was. So I guess my question goes from there. Moving forward is, I think we need to see a map of everything that's been done to see, because that's the technology that we have now. I believe in following the money. That's why there's a fight going on to our federal senators and representatives to get down here, send that money straight from now on and follow it, so that the people know that it's working for them and stop settling for crumbs.
Thank you. Speaking of the drain commissioner yesterday for the county, he spoke of the excellent job that was being done. If we can open up the corridors of mine, we'll remember when Ben Township tried to come and get exclusive rights to that area,
They're still working on it.
to Otter Creek, that were refused access to Otter Creek as part of the road. And then they did, which if you want to fight anybody, you should fight in Township, those who live in the township. They did a $13 million wraparound because they didn't want to fool with the city council of Benton Harbor. She came because she said that we didn't want to give them exclusive rights, and that's where we came up with the term Mr. Little so eloquently put, that God is not making any more property. So if we give y'all exclusive rights to Otter Creek, then we won't have any say-so what happens down there,
Right.
which birthed this project that's happening right now. And I commend you, Director Little, for the part that you played in that. My only suggestion comes from this, that when they're drudging and when they're creating opportunity with a lighted pathway, with a bike path and all that, it actually adds to the value of the houses that are on that side of the creek. And also, it needs to stop Sunny Spot and whoever else from dumping down there, because if you look behind that building there where they're dumping ridiculously down in that creek. And that the creek, whatever you dump down there goes in the creek, it contaminates. So I would just say that this is a step in the right direction. And to anytime somebody's giving you grant dollars to do anything, as long as we have the right to vote on who does it, then we're in the right direction. But that creek has not been touched in years. And that young lady, we so eloquently voted for her to have a bridge over, really, if it was in the church, we'd say troubled waters. You know, so that sign over there, that's still, I think it's still over there, has not even hit the bridge. It's right there, Tijuana. So I think that this is a step in the right direction. And hopefully we can get our kids in the summer. It's one thing that, from moving forward, that I'm gonna, you're gonna hear me harping, that these kids in the summer, we got too many buildings, too many houses, too many lots for our kids to not learn some type of trade. And you have Home Depot going out doing all the plumbing. You got electricians coming out doing all the electricity. You got everybody else doing everything that has to do with the lead lines and everything else. And yet I have not seen one teenager, which when I was coming up in school, I ain't gonna hold you up for 2 more seconds. When I was coming up to school, we had where you can go out to work for a couple hours a day and earn credits. If somebody willing to hire you, I can't think what is the thing called, where they let you go out there and work, and then, what was the name of that back then? Co-op training, there y'all go. Y'all a little bit older than some of y'all, not all of y'all.
Okay, thank you.
Co-op training, and you go out and work for a couple hours a day after school and learn something, and then they give you credits for that. I think we did our kids unjust, because everybody I see coming in these houses is not looking like us. Plumbers, electricians, all these things, with these lead lines. They hired a few of them to go knock on the doors, but to do the actual work, it's kind of disheartening, because what could have happened, they could have learned the trade, and after this is over, they could have had a trade. So I think that it's a good thing that we do take this grant, but after that, we need to enact all the other articles that say hire our kids, hire our people. It ain't hard to get a shovel, excuse me. I ain't from smoking cigarettes either. I ain't from weed. Go ahead. Mr. Kennard. Mr. Kennard had a hand up, and then Mr. Little after Mr. Kennard.
Okay. One other thing that I heard you mention, and we got pictures of it from the past, and we held on to it because we didn't never know when we would need it. That was before you came on board, Mr. Little. This is years before you came on board. Our own city was dumping down there. And a lot of the junk, limbs and branches and old metal and stuff that's down there came from our public works. Their trucks was there. So we saw them. They came down behind Martin Luther King School there. And that's where they dumped. Because, see, I worked at that school for a number of years at the tech center. So I happened to be down there when we were disassembling the greenhouse that we got coming up, the parts. And so the person that was with me, he took the pictures of the trucks dumping right there where the stream is. So we have to make sure that we do the thing that's right and not blame it on the people that's in the community here doing the dumping. Your own workers is dumping, and they have to get permission from somewhere. So where it came from, I don't know. But I do know those were city trucks. So we have to work on that. And I have no reason to lie about it. Got pictures.
It's gonna be our intent to stop anybody from dumping that.
Here,
Up on the hill, down the hill, any.
well,
And, we're gonna try and do what's necessary to, make sure that that does not occur anymore from any point. I would like to just say, though, as a reminder, on this project, there's a partnership between the city and township. Keep in mind that when I bought that railroad right away, it runs right up to the parking lot at Home Depot. Now, it did run 5.7 miles out, but they sold off part of it while during the period I was gone. But we're doing this right up to there so that we can get people out of the hotels and whatnot to come down there and come downtown.
yeah,
I would also suggest that we utilize the police department, but the jail. And if we have money available to hire them, you see them in Buffalo, you see them in Bridgman, you see them everywhere
okay.
with these sheriff trucks riding around the van, and they unload inmates.
Exactly.
And they cut down trees, they clean up areas, they do all that kind of thing. And I would suggest that. And if they do got pictures, y'all email them to me,
I will.
please do.
I got you.
Show me
If
all
they
these.
email pictures to me, then they need to get down there and clean that stuff up. If they dumping that stuff down there, we convicted other people for dumping. And then we dump and nobody down, and then they talk about they need a raise.
She's
Okay,
talking
they
about,
need to
she's
do a
talking
raise
about
and
years ago.
Well, it's about-
She's talking about
Yeah.
years
it's about years
I
ago?
don't know
It ain't
who
been
all
that
was
many.
working on it now.
Well, say years
The
ago.
head person was there at that time, but
It's actually barricaded now, so you can't even get down
Can't get out.
behind MLK. It's
I had a
barricaded, it's been
concrete
barricaded.
but see,
Can I speak for a second?
I actually.
Yes, she's first, and you're next,
So I have
Mr.
to, Mr.
Shaquille
Little,
Turner.
somebody suggested a scoring system for contractors in terms of when we utilize the contractor scoring, how, if they hire people from Benton Harbor, what companies are doing that so we can keep track of the work, as Commissioner Cease was talking about, and Commissioner Adams talks about, the work that employees are getting, the companies that hire people from Benton Harbor, doing a scoring system to see which companies are doing a great job at seeking out people who live in Benton Harbor to actually work for their companies, but keep a scoring system to determine, you know.
We can include that as a requirement in the bid specifications that are put out. But we're limited in terms of how much we can do other than to make sure that they are making the effort and that they're complying with the agreement. As a matter of fact, one part of this later on in the agenda I want to talk about is jobs, because we've got a different problem than we think we have.
All right, Mr. Shaquille Turner.
So I want to correct the record. There was dumping this year in front of me, Ben Howard Public Works. Each 9 commissioners, city manager, Mr. Little, public safety, and Michi got the pictures. So we can sit here and say, well, these pictures are old. No, they're not. These are from this year, dumping in front of me with logs. And that should be a no-no. When you see me ride around Ben Harbor, you should make sure you're clean.
Got a point of information. What day?
That was this year. That was January 1st, 2023.
So they were dumping in the wintertime?
Yes, sir. Cut logs. It was not snowing.
Or
It was not snowing. We all got the email because it's on the record.
Yes, we do.
So I'm not sitting here, I'm not gonna lie. This is on the record.
I'll check my email. I don't.
Because it's 5 pictures. And I watched them
And they
dump
what were they
down the
dumping?
valley, logs. I even called Rona and asked Rona, do they have permission? She said that she was asked the city manager, and she never got back with me. So let's correct the record. Mr. Dan McGinnis from Public Safety said that if anybody dumped in Ben Harbor, they would get cited and they was towed. Not one person in Ben Harbor Public Works been in trouble yet.
That's right.
So we can sit here and
That's
say
a point of clarity. Where were they dumping at?
down in the valley. Matter of fact, after we get done here, I will take you my own personal truck. We'll go down there.
Point of clarity. There's a lot of valleys. I want to know what streets.
So which about the valley, right?
That
with-
is right.
Right there with the tech center right there. You
The name
cannot
of the
get
street
down.
is Valley.
You cannot get down there because of Public Works
Valley Drive.
dumping big logs. The Ben Harbor residents and outside communities cannot bring in logs. These logs came from our Department of Public Works. I watched them personally. A resident called me and said they're dumping, and I watched that vehicle turn always down there, and not one commissioner got back with me. So now in Mr. Little's office or the mayor's office, I mean, the city manager's office.
Saw the pictures.
Say it again.
I never saw the pictures.
I never saw them either.
I have.
I'm gonna read for it again.
Do me a favor. Don't do that.
Why not?
No, this one.
Cause I don't want y'all to go lying.
No, I'm gonna give you direction real quick. This is what I'm gonna tell you to do. Give it to the clerk. So it becomes an official record. And have the clerk forward it to every commissioner.
Yeah.
In that way, nobody can say they didn't get it.
Okay.
So
So
that-
even
that-
though-
Hold on, let me finish. I hear your passion. But just say, for instance, the name could have been spelled wrong, anything could have happened, which happened. And it says that the sender, who they sent it to, did not get the mail. It could go on somebody's spam. It could go on somebody's junk. Send it to the clerk.
So can I ask for clarity? Is your email for the city is at benharborcity.us?
That's a whole email address.
So that's not your email address for Ben Harbor City?
No. Not that I know of. But I give you my personal.
I don't do personal. This is city official stuff right here.
Do me a favor.
I don't do anything with like personal. I will make sure you get it as official.
Do me a favor. If you want to get something to me.
I'm gonna re-forward again the
No,
same
that's
email
what I'm
to
saying.
the clerk.
Send it to the, that's the purpose of the clerk.
$3 million.
Send it to the clerk.
I got you tonight.
And then when the clerk gets it, and she disperses it to everybody, then nobody can say they didn't get it. So then when you come to the next meeting, you look right at the clerk and say, clerk, did not I send that to you? Did you send it to the body? That's the way you handle the situation. It's simple.
Let's make sure that you ask in the body for me to send it to the commissioners.
Please.
Okay, we ready for the next item?
I move that we send that forward. Number 3,
Now, can
I'm
we
sorry,
ask some
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
No,
No, we'll go with Mr. Duncan, then we'll
ladies
go to
first,
Commissioner.
through the chair, it's all right.
You
No
relieve your
problem.
time?
I'll,
Okay, thank
I'll wait.
Thank you, Chair and Mr. Duncan, thank you. Adam Marsh won't get this one either. Well, I'm so happy to see this kind of recognition from, do you know what we have to do to get a congressional grant? It is just wonderful. More to come. So don't think we broke, because we're not. We're gonna make sure that we spend every federal dollar at least 3 times before it go out of Ben Harbor. We're gonna get better. So my question to Mr. Little, through the chair, is I know grants have strict things that it is supposed to do. I'm reading the memo, and the memo says that the grant will be allocated and used to best fit the needs not covered by other funding sources. That's really vague. But then when I look at the resolution, it says that it will be managed through the city manager and the Department of Community Economic Development. And my question to the chair is, will it be a process that comes through committee and then final approval from the body?
No. Because the way this has to work, and that's what I explained to you a few minutes ago. If step 1 is Corps of Engineers, they've got $150,000 that's allocated to take care of what they're doing. There may be a part that is essential in order for it to be completed that they can't pay for. If we have to pay for it, I can't go to general fund, it'll come from this grant. If the part when we start going through doing the deforestation and whatnot, to start doing cleanup and whatnot. But one thing about it, keep in mind, as you said, there are very strict rules on this stuff. If it's over a certain amount, I'll have to do specifications, bring it in, put it before the commission to go out for bid it out, So it's all, it took me 5 hours to read through this past weekend.
Yeah, I heard you say that you were here, and I appreciate your effort. So I just,
It does have to come before the commission if you do change it and put out bids.
If you change anything in the grant, it has to come before the commission and go back to the hood.
Yeah, it has to come before us.
But if it's what's written in the grant and approved, then we just have to follow all of their rules about bidding and specs and all of that
It
stuff.
scares me that for a minute. Look,
is it any way that we could get a scenario of what you submitted and what they agreed upon? I appreciate it if we can get that through the chair.
Can we get a synopsis of what is already out there and who's already included and not?
You mean out of the 3 million?
Yeah.
At this point, nobody. No, there isn't any. So we're putting it together now.
So when it happens, you're gonna bring back
Yes.
everything to the commission. That's gonna be
Sure.
spent out of the grant.
Who's the fiduciary?
Mr. Duncan,
Who's the
the floor.
fiduciary?
We are.
Okay. So the city gets a percentage. Administrative.
Mr. Duncan has the floor,
Yeah.
please, y'all.
First, does the city get
Chair.
through the chair always when I'm talking? Through the chair,
City get,
The city get,
that question you just asked, sister,
does the city get a percentage being the administrator?
fiduciary.
through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Can I get an answer to that?
The
Through the city
receives
manager?
all kinds of federal money. You just got 49 million associated.
That was so simple.
Okay.
And you didn't get any percentage.
You make things so difficult, brother, when you take my mind off of what I'm trying to do. Trying to be the chair.
The answer is no.
Thank you. Now what I like to see,
Who does?
what I like to see out of all of this you get grand idea and everything, I think is grand too. But I don't think it's fair for any of it to happen without our citizens being totally involved in the picture. Far as work, far as training. I don't think anything should happen until that happens because I see what this program is doing. I know who's ahead of the program, so I understand what's going on. But I don't believe you guys up there understand the severity of our citizens not being able to work or train to work. I don't think anything should happen in this city again unless citizens are involved in the work process and the training process. And through the chair, I'm going to ask you to make sure it happens.
Promise you I'm gonna
Thank
try.
you. That's all I need to hear. Thank you for your
You
time.
can't get these people to work.
Thank you.
Who is these people you talking about?
You cannot tell me that they don't got help wanted signs everywhere.
No, we ain't talking, wait a minute.
We talking from the city standpoint, that's what he's talking
No,
about.
hold on. I've been listening to that for 12 years.
I've been listening to it for 70. I've been listening to it for 70. That's why I'm saying and asking what I'm asking and saying.
I've gotten jobs for people at extraordinary places
You're a preacher.
where they got union benefits and everything else. And you cannot force people to go to work.
You can't force them to join the union or have the
If-
union in here. either,
If
can
they
you?
don't show up to work, if they don't wanna go to work, and now they're even taking regulations off of people
Come on,
and telling people that you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, to work.
point of
You
order,
have help wanted signs everywhere.
point of order, order.
This
You
is
can order the
all about
point.
people.
Point of order.
You can order the
This
point,
is not the training ground here.
but I'm telling you now,
You can't tell me that.
I had a guy that, I had a
Point
guy.
of order.
Oh, y'all say whatever y'all want to say. I was
Co-chair,
taking him to
please
bars
call
to
point of
work.
order.
He
3
told me he
million.
had to wash his hair before he go to work. And that's a problem, if I got to pick you up at 7 o'clock and take you to work and pick you
Point
up.
of
Mr. Little, you had a floor.
It's a
Thank
minimum.
you. I just wanted to say, I've got to be someplace at 7 o'clock.
See?
Can you answer my
I'm on my
question?
way too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, how can that be? You playing economic development and all of this is on the agenda.
I was here, I didn't get through. It wouldn't allow me.
We have
Oh,
questions.
yeah, you was asking my
We
question.
have
Mr. Nah has the floor,
We're
please.
having like exposés about, you
Mr.
know,
Nah,
everything.
Mr. Nah has the floor,
They're
please.
not questions. A lot of them haven't been
No,
questions.
this is
I have a
conversation.
question and I didn't get answered.
Conversation.
Mr.
For what I've seen and what I've been preaching for quite some time, Mr. Isa, this is what I've been preaching for some time. When there's monies that's involved, we need somebody to be responsible to see how those dollars and where they're going and everything. That's why I thought of it's so important, us having a financial manager, in which he didn't get the cooperation from him. So there's nobody's fault but our commission here to make
Okay.
sure that these things happen.
Some of them.
So what I'm saying is that this is monies that's coming in, and we want to see it benefit Benton Harbor. Many times money has came into Benton Harbor, but we haven't seen an improvement in Benton Harbor. Sure, there are jobs that is needed and people to work. We know that some will work and do a good job and some won't. I know I've done a wonderful job in some places and they still complain about what I did and how I got paid. So, I know you have to go to the next item, but I'm just saying, monies is one of the things that you have the biggest problem. That's why we need a financial manager here to see that.
You can't make nobody come
Right,
to
it's a
work.
perceived problem. It's not a problem, it's a perceived
Yeah,
problem.
you can't go pick nobody up to go to
It's a
work.
perceived
and give
problem.
gas money.
I don't think that's what he was talking about.
Listen, let me do it. Hold on.
Section on
And
the
tell, whoa. And tell y'all to take me out of this. We're gonna have, no, wait a minute now. We're gonna have some order here.
Got to do better.
Yeah, we're gonna have some decency.
You
If y'all want to talk about personnel matters, then there's a committee for that.
And training.
There's a committee for that, and if your personnel and finance director is right behind y'all, and if y'all don't believe what he says, then y'all listen to all the rumors.
Didn't you just say that?
What are we talking about?
So I'm not talking about no finance director, we're not talking about that, we cutting out the discussion for the, what, the other stuff.
We on number 3.
Let's not talk negative.
Now, resolution supporting funding request to the state of Michigan for solid waste transfer station and compost yard fund. I want to tell you, Commissioner Henry, I appreciate you. Cause she is one that spearheaded this and talked about doing recycling and being able to do it ourselves. And Commissioner Henry, we should appreciate you. And wherever we put this thing at,
Been doing this for years.
well, Commissioner Adams, can we go ahead and get that real quick?
I just wanted to say that we're
Wyatt.
requesting that the commission approve this resolution, which is, we're working with the Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. And we put a request in for $2.7 million to establish a solid waste transfer station, compost yard, buy the equipment and personnel to restructure the way we handle solid waste, including giving us the ability for the first time to be able to, after we pick up this refuse, take it to the transfer station, put it out where we can go through and see if they're materials worth recycling and pulling out. And that will provide some employment. It should provide some income with the sale and disposition of the recycled materials. It's going to give us a chance to save the city a considerable amount of money. Right now, each garbage truck, when it goes down the street and it gets full, it's got to take off and drive 20 miles up to the.
Can you say that louder?
Yes, guys. Right now, when your truck, your compactor goes out, it picks up the trash, it fills it up. As soon as it's full, it drives 20 miles to the landfill, dumps it, which means there's no chance to see what's in it, do any recycling. Then it drives back down 20 miles. You've got your operator tied up, your truck is wearing out. And then you're paying a bundle for all of it because you've not reduced the stream. This will allow us to put it at the transfer station, go through it. Then we'll have heavy equipment that will compact it, put it in a big open top, long type trailer on it with a tractor pulling it. And then take one load, which may be the load of 5 or 6 of the compactors. So you only make one trip to take it all up there and come back, and only involving one driver and one piece of equipment, instead of 6 pieces going back and forth and back and forth. That's why our trucks stay broke down.
Yeah.
And that's how we've done it in the bigger cities.
Thank you, Mr. Will. I appreciate your leadership on that. Getting what the commissioner wants done. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. And thank you, my colleague. There's been, 10, 11, 12 years? I mean, we tried our best to utilize 200 Paw, whatever we could use to start some recycling. This is so overdue. But I guess my question to Mr. Little through the chair, do we have the property that we needed? And do we have something in place for residents to possibly separate food waste from other materials? Are we working on something like that that would make it easier? Because who wants to really go through garbage? I mean, if it's some type of separation thing going on, I know it's workable and we still got a ways to go. But if this is the start, I really would like to see this resolution come forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. That's good. On your leadership portion too, I remember you stating that.
No, I'm deeper than you think.
Yeah, and I
But I
remember
can't
This
Commissioner
will be
Henry
my last time, Bobby.
even went to a conference. So Commissioner Henry went to a conference
Yeah.
talking about, she asked for permission to go to a conference.
Nobody else had to ask for permission.
You went to a conference for recycling
I'm glad she was able to.
and bring that information back. Come on,
What I want to say, and
Commissioner.
I guess I should do it
Good, it's
the
in the
formal
form.
way, but we at the garden now have been composting the leaves.
Mm.
We've been doing that for 3 years. A little lady over in St. Joe called me and asked me, could she join our team by doing composting? So you might see the little bins that we made out of the, what do you call them, that you pick up boxes on? Skids.
Mhm.
And we dump our leaves in there in the fall and let them break down. We can't take all of this street garbage because it's got a lot of other things, plastic and everything in it. But places where we can get it that's free of all of that, and we composting it, trying to build up and help the the ecosystem, and also make our food nice and organic. We know just about what's in the soil before we even put it into our little areas, because ever so many years we have our soil tested. My chairperson is works at the USDA. He takes portions of that soil and have it tested ever so often. If we have some compost to come in, it's always tested before we even spread it into our garden to keep a healthy garden. A healthy garden is a healthy community, those that eat from the garden. So I'm just saying that we all trying to do our part as to why, I can't say all, but a lot of us are trying to do our part in trying to make this a healthy community. I know that I am. Not only healthy with the growth of food, but have those that consume it healthy. And so I think it just, I commend the ones that have been working on this. But composting our leaves is one thing, the area in which I'm working. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Nars.
Next item was to,
I just want to say one thing.
Eating life.
Can I say something?
Yeah, oh, come on. Please, don't kill me.
To the chair, Director Little, is it possible with this monies, funds, that we can get a vacuum leaf? So this is just for compost, grass cuttings, and things like that sort. So would that be
it may,
something that would help this project?
it may be possible.
Yeah, that would be great, because that'll help the drains and
Yeah.
because, some residents rake their leaves out there, yeah.
One of them to suck up old food.
You need somebody out there with these guys. You need somebody out there with these guys, making these guys work.
Yeah. Even if you gonna make up your mind, they won't eat up with it.
The next item, wanted to discuss the,
Hold on, that's Mr. Turner, he got his license out.
Yeah, I have a question, Mr. Little, through to the chair. With this tractor, it's called semi-truck, went on the road as a CDO commercial driver,
Okay.
Talk to the chair.
as a commercial truck driver
Yeah.
/ road instructor, we carry different forms on us at all times.
You said do what?
We carry different cards on us at all
Oh,
times.
yeah, yeah.
I have this card. This is the most important card. Anytime we move a truck, point A to point B, we have to carry this card here. I have asked the city numerous times, do each and every CDO commercial holder who drive the dump trucks hold a medical card? That's number one. Number two, we have to go on the clearance house. We get drug tested randomly. You can't smoke weed, you can't drink, etc. Also, commercial driver license. We have to carry that. I asked the city numerous times. Have that been in place? The federal rule says anybody who drive a vehicle like that, 80,000 pounds, must carry these cards.
Mr. Turner, though, seriously, and I.
What? I'm asking a question about the
No,
trailer,
I understand what you're saying, but right now, we're talking about,
the dump trailer,
no. We're talking about,
the compost trailer.
no, we're talking about a compost yard.
Right.
But we're moving the equipment.
No, we're talking about a compost yard. To bring somebody to the compost yard, whether they bring it by the truck, whether they bring it by U-Haul, whether they bring it by van. We're talking about a total separate issue about the qualifications of a driver. And right now, we're just talking about the resolution of funding to get a compost yard.
But he mentioned 20 yards, 20 miles there, 20 miles
But
back.
I don't think nobody out here drive. If they driving illegal, then we need to go ahead and get them out of there anyway. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If they don't have no certification, no license to drive, no dump truck.
Exactly.
That's just elementary. They should have a job no way. So that's something that Director Little, I'm asking you to go to Human Resources. And if you got somebody driving a truck who high drunk or don't have these certifications, they don't need to be driving nowhere.
Can I get a quick answer to my question? Did we find the placement? The compost?
Through the chair.
Oh, no, we don't have a place yet.
Okay,
For
okay.
either the,
Okay.
Is there anybody out here driving with no license?
not that I know, but it.
Well, no
That's the police
I
job.
don't get into that either.
I mean, they driving with no certification.
I wouldn't think so. Because if you recall, the discussion went on last year about trying to hire the guys to cut grass and they didn't have a CDL. And so they didn't, and, you know.
I think that, yeah.
But your point is well taken, and I'm sure that, and especially what we're talking about, driving a tractor over the road. You can be sure all of that will be taken
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah, they high drunk.
I know
Good information.
when I was at Dollar Ride, we made sure that they did.
More information and more.
Okay?
All right, do we need to even talk about this?
You moving it forward?
Actually, I just wanted to
We're
make
moving that
everybody
forward,
aware.
resolution number 3 is moving forward.
Through the chair.
Clerk, we're moving that forward, thank you. Number 4, do we even have to discuss that?
I just wanted to basically inform what
Can you just inform us?
yes,
All right.
all right. Basically, on the placemaking front, we are going to be working with Cornerstones as they did the last placemaking round. And we're gonna be asking them to work with us on including in the proposal funding for the splash pad that we're talking about doing down here, the roller rink,
Whoa.
and also funding for boardwalk down here on the riverfront along the rest of that. That was never finished. And also, if they would, we could request funding to assist in redevelopment of the state theater. And that's because in the meeting I was in last week, that was one of the things that they put up as priority interests that they have in funding, is those kinds of
Well,
projects.
that's funding them because it's on their property. I mean, I'm not here on that tangent this week or this month.
Speaking to the mic.
I'm not here on that tangent this month.
Gonna be.
But I will
like a-
say
like a
that
little kid
I
that can
want
turn
to
into
make
a-
sure that we partner on things that will better for the inner city resident. I'm not talking about just the homemade neighborhoods that have been made up like Monopoly. I would ask the question, Director Little, to this body, what is more important? I would rather see that hotel on that same alley developed, or Al Capone Hotel, whether we tear it or fix it or make it into an escape room or whatever y'all want to do to it.
Okay.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is property that's been accrued This is the same thing been going on for years and years. And my daughter graduating, so I'll be able to go vacation now. But this has been going on for years. The property that people purchase has now become the property that's most important. Benton Harbor residents, we need to figure out a way to take advantage of the opportunity of having water surrounding you. I'll say this for the last time, and I probably won't say it 2 more times. There was a pilot that came, he used to work for Whirlpool, and he said, Commissioner, I want to take you up over Benton Harbor and let you look at it from the air. And when I looked at it from over the air, it looked like Florida, looked like Hawaii, it looked like someplace, because you see that water connecting into that blue water, lake water, and the lake front is extraordinary. Benton Harbor is one of the few cities that touch this many major bodies of water. So why not somebody else control the waterfront and we don't do anything but possess the inner city and never enjoy it? We should be teaching kayaking, swimming, boating, all kinds of things with this water, but for some reason, and I'll say this, Benton Harbor High School in this region is one of the closest to the major bodies of water. We have not taken advantage of the major bodies of water. And that's why for years they've been talking about Benton Harbor High School and sending them out there to Meadowbrook Road or wherever that was out there they were trying to send them. But then they said they didn't want them out there either. So my statement is this, Director Little, I hope before I close my eyes, which I don't know what it's gonna be, that Benton Harbor has something down there that the residents can say, it's our own. I watch Moody, and I watch all these people promote business down there, and now it's more racist than it's ever been before. It's never been. It is, I'm telling you now.
Where are you talking
Some
about?
stuff that's been said to me lately,
Downtown?
I'm talking about Riverview Drive,
That's downtown.
than there's ever been before. And yet we're gonna take city tax dollars or grant dollars or any other dollar. If I was the residents, I would boycott anything down there.
What did you do?
I didn't do nothing. But somebody told me I was the king, something. I've been hard, but I ain't never been the king.
Kingpin?
No. The king.
We all over the place in this conversation, y'all. That's
No, let me say this, and I'm gonna be done with it. I'm saying it on record. I'm not saying that nowhere else. I'm saying it on record. And if we don't help our residents, then we're gonna be finding ourselves 20 years still a slave.
You?
Devil is a
I
lie.
don't think so.
Well, y'all got to like it, but I'm telling you, when you look at what is happening, even in the judicial realm, even in the educational realm, if you're not affecting change in the education,
It's coming.
all right, well, if you're not affecting change in the judicial system and you got the floor next, Mr. Duncan, please keep it though. We're gonna be batting down the same position in years, and I'm not gonna be here. Cause I'm gonna go ahead and move on. But hopefully Mr. Turner and all these other people who have ambition can correct this problem. But if you do not stop what's going on, you're not gonna have change. You don't have a medical facility. You don't have none of this stuff that's gonna help your people.
Order. Wow.
And I'm serious when I say that. It hurts.
Order.
I was sitting in the hospital room, blood pressure dropping,
You was
hemoglobin low, and without anything connected to me, and then they're gonna tell me they're gonna hit me with some fentanyl after that?
Oh, they give you some of that quick.
I know it ain't important to y'all, but I came back a different way. Go ahead,
I just wanted to say respectfully, I hear you and understand what you're saying. And I want to say to you, just like these first two here, when the opportunity presents itself,
Yeah,
I will be going after those things. I was in Lansing this past week and spent a good bit of time talking with different state agencies about some of the things that we need and why they should make a special effort to assist us and in getting the things that we need, just as you're mentioning here. The items that are listed is because they're doable and they fit within the scope of what they told us they would fund. The SPARK grant, if you recall, when we did the first one, they got the $958,000 for the park. We said they would be having another round and we would be going after the next phase on the park. And that's what we'll be trying to do there. But in all of these instances, you keep in mind exactly what you're saying. Because what we have in mind when we're talking about down here, the splash pad, the roller rink, which I've been hearing ever since I came back
Oh,
here,
yeah.
it's the kind of thing that you want. And it is the kind of thing that you need.
you're
Because
right.
36% of the population is under 15 years old.
Yeah.
You know, you got kids and we need to provide something
Yeah.
for them to do. But that creek, when it's cleaned up, is intended to have canoes, kayaking, fishing, and the water clean enough that they can eat the fish without worrying about lighting up at night.
And there was a young
So
lady
we're
that she
going to
turned
be,
over.
we're doing these things. And, so.
thank you, Director Little, for that. Mr. Duncan, we're gonna have to get Mr. Little out of there, he's gonna time constraint.
Sister, you want to say something first? Everybody else spoke before me too, so you might as well too.
I just want to say, when we start doing these grants, okay, when it's presented to us, tell us some stuff we want to hear and all that, and they know, you know, what we've talked about, we want to see. But then later down, it's like, oh, we can't do this right now. All the stuff that's for the inner city, like splash pad and roller and all this other stuff. We need to start making them be more specific. Like maybe we doing the grants, write it out. We're gonna put included splash pad, roller, whatever that we're trying to see, because this can be told to us again, then we vote for it, and then here we go again. Oh, we can't do that right now. That'll be in phase 4 or 5, you know, years from now. So I'm just tired of hearing promises and only for them to be changed. We need to have it specified in writing, legal and binding. And then as far as what we need to see, we got all these inner city parks and nothing's been done to them for years and years.
In the neighborhood.
That would help the kids. That would give the kids something to do, even programs for the kids. So that's all.
Thank you.
Everything you guys talked about today, we've talked about for years. And the same people would seem to be so about it now, ain't been about it at all. You know, we had all kinds of ways to make money, even with the marijuana coming into town, the medical marijuana. Nobody wanted it. Remember those days? You remember those days through the chair? Do you remember those days?
If you ask me for a point of clarity, I will give you one.
I'm asking for a point of clarity.
All right. It was dead on the water until we brought it back to this committee.
It was dead underwater.
It was dead underwater.
It-
Nobody can fix it until it came to this committee.
It was dead under the water all the time without.
Mr. Little came,
Okay.
and Mr. Little rectified.
You can back up off that mic, otherwise I'll talk louder too. You in my ear.
You can talk loud as you
Well,
want to.
stop then. I'm asking you to stop.
Answer the question.
No, he's being he's irritating me right now. And I think you can
Don't
back
ask me a
up.
question if you don't want to answer.
I want the answer. That's why I asked the question.
Come on.
You want a problem with me,
We got
mister?
people watching.
You can
us.
have one with me, but you won't have one with me while I'm talking.
But you asked me-
I'm talking right now, so you can be the chair and do your job. And that's to listen to me right now.
Take my money and go somewhere else.
If you guys don't have no jobs for the citizens, if you don't have no training for the citizens, you can do all the Ox Creek you want. If you don't have somebody to protect our land, you might as well just say, here, Whirlpool, take it. Do what you're gonna do with it. If you're not gonna have black businesses down through there, I don't even want it. I don't even want to see it unless it's on the other side of M139 somewhere going out towards Barron Springs. I'm about us. And if y'all ain't gonna be about us, if y'all gonna keep okaying any and everything, hands up, 5 to 4 votes. If you're not gonna do what we ask you to do, you can holler at us, you can talk over that mic loud as you want to, you can put us out of here.
Okay, so
What I need is for us to make a point of making sure that our citizens have jobs. And I ain't just talking about no little kids that you know ain't they're not trained to do it. There's a lot of older people, black people, white folks, anybody that can do the work that you're not trying hard enough to get us involved in anything. And it's y'all's fault because y'all not listening to the citizens. You're smiling in everybody's face, but you ain't smiling in none of these citizens' face until it's election time. Now, what I would like, and I'm gonna get back to where I was in the beginning, if there's no jobs for us, I'm repeating myself for a damn good reason too. If you don't have no jobs for us, if you don't have no training for us, go on the other side of M139 and go on out to Barron Springs somewhere doing all of what you're talking about. Because our citizens need jobs, and a park is a park. We need training and we need jobs. And if you don't have that to offer, we don't need a park, we don't need a basketball, we don't need commissioners was not about us either. Be about us, because this is going to be my cry. This is going to be my cry whether you want to hear it or not. It's about the citizens, and it ain't about smiling in nobody's face to not get something done. Smile all you want
He
to.
has 15 minutes
Mr. Little,
before he leaves.
I would-
And a whole lot of agenda that,
Shouldn't have cut me off.
Okay,
We
we're on
got
number
over it a
4.
long time ago.
yeah, he's on.
Okay,
number
well,
one.
I'd like to address,
So ask your question after he gets finished presenting this one, because there's a lot of stuff that he still hasn't gone over.
on number 4, well, he
Let's
has
do this.
addressed some of
Number
that.
5 is- he's getting ready
Mr.
to leave.
Mr.
So
Poole.
we're gonna have to leave
Listen.
that item because nobody will be here to
Listen,
explain it.
listen, number 4, do me a favor, Mr. Little, and send an email out with the rest of that.
So number 5. Commissioner,
Just a quick
he has
question.
Number
Could have
5,
been an accident.
number 5 is $975,000 from the National,
Yeah,
That's been done.
It's just information. I
This
already covered
information.
that.
already covered.
Already covered
Okay.
that.
Benton Harbor St. Joe wastewater plant utility process operator.
And that I put there just to address what we were just talking about, jobs. The wastewater treatment plant is looking for a utility process operator. Put a copy of the job description in here, so if you know somebody that you think would be interested, that might have the qualifications, they're hiring. Next, I wanted to mention Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency is looking for an eligibility specialist. And that position, I understand they've been looking for quite some time and not been able to fill it. So I just wanted to make people aware that it's there.
What about the camera installation update?
Camera installation update is that our mobile installation is pretty near almost complete.
What about Javis?
The Davis, I spoke with the other day and they're asking us for help. They've got a number of jobs that they're trying to fill.
Oh, can you, can we hear what you're saying, please? You said James got what?
A number of jobs that
They got a number of jobs?
and they're asking.
How they
us
treat
for
their
help.
employees. We have to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Cause I got a lot of complaints personally. And I ain't never worked there. But you can't, slavery is over. It didn't end it. Folks trying to buy homes and stuff. They paying
How many-
enough.
How many jobs they got?
I don't know, but I'm gonna let Javis handle their business.
If you look there, this, they're looking for machine operators. They're looking for quality technicians,
Are they training?
and they're doing training, process technicians,
Good.
maintenance technicians.
So I can explain
And in
that.
fact, if you flip over there, you'll see a listing
Okay.
of the different jobs, and they show, some are in Shelby Township, but they also have listed the ones that are in Benton Harbor.
Okay.
Second shift, CMM technician, materials analyst in Benton Harbor,
I'll do my part.
bilingual,
You're looking for
resource
bilingual?
generalist,
Can I ask a
You
question?
looking for bilingual?
a bilingual, human resource generalist.
People go into business to make money. This a business. Javis is a business, right? Okay. So-
Is that it about, let me finish. Is that it about Javis?
Yes. Just want to make you
How many
aware.
jobs do they got open right now? About 30 or 40?
They're hiring.
It looks like they've
That's all that
got
matters.
probably about that many.
In their training.
30 or 40 jobs?
And
They're hiring and training. You looking for a job?
No.
Okay then.
Commissioner Henderson had a hand up first, then Commissioner Adam. But if they got 30 or 40 jobs in Benton Harbor, what they starting wage?
Can she ask her question? He gotta go.
What's the
Read the
starting
paper.
wage, please?
Come on.
Read the paper and bring it back
We're
next
gonna
month.
kick the can down the road.
Kick the can down the road on this one.
What's
till you
what's
read
the starting
information.
wage?
I believe they're in the neighborhood of around $20 an hour.
Oh, okay. 20.
Now,
$20 an hour, that ain't
I-
bad enough.
I was
That ain't
also-
bad money.
That's not true.
That's a joke.
Ain't no $20 an hour.
the jobs they're looking for here go
It's still
that
not,
high.
every not 28, that's not true.
Know what
That's
it's
not
saying?
true.
Can we kick this
That's,
can down
that's
the
what
road
they
and
said
read
to
the
me.
document?
I met
Okay.
with them for
That's not true.
40 minutes on a virtual call.
Not true.
It was 2 days ago.
Anyway, when we
Can
start
the
working-
commissioner-
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson.
If I could also, I was here last night at the
Brownfield.
Dial-A-Ride meeting.
Uh-huh.
And Dial-A-Ride said that they're having trouble finding people. They indicated they need
All
30
the
drivers.
companies,
They got problems finding people to work?
all the
They have
companies,
problems finding drivers.
Which one of them?
Oh, the drive.
And my point is, while we're talking about jobs and whatnot, consistent with kind of what was said earlier. Folks, in Benton Harbor, if you look at, I work off the numbers. Your population is 9,107. 36% are 15 and down. Seniors make up almost 20%. That's 65 and up. In the middle of the remaining people, almost 1,700 are on some form of disability.
And down there at the gas station.
Some form of disability. We saw this with the lead removal thing. A number of people went to work, but as soon as they began to get near where they would get cut off, they quit. And I understand it, they're doing what's best for them and their families. So when you get right down to it, we don't have all of these people looking for jobs that you're talking about.
So what we
We
building for?
need to get some people
Who we
to
building
fill
for?
jobs.
So you just answered that question as to who we building for
I have a question.
with all those statistics.
Just a little- Just in
Yeah,
regards to.
Commissioner Henderson has the floor, please.
I just had a question in regards to, what, all of the things that's happening with the water. Is
Can you
there,
speak to the mic a little bit?
is there a possibility to create some kind of CTE program connected to in her
Speak
area.
up, please. We're working on it.
Okay,
So to get, so that we can get the people that we need to actually run the water department or go to school to get the certification that's necessary. We're starting in high school, and I know that there are some talks in the work with it, but what are the some of the classes and stuff that would need to be designed to actually get that to be, get that off the ground?
I thought I sent you the
It's
email.
possible to do that, but I don't believe it should be done at the high school level. It could be done probably at LMC
Yeah.
or, but yes, it could be done. And hopefully it's something we will.
All right, Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Adams,
Thank you.
are you done with your thoughts,
So
sir?
one thing that she's on target about is to benefit
Ben Harbor.
our people in Ben Harbor,
Mm-hmm.
where we've got to target is the school.
Ben Harbor
The
High.
people coming out of high school.
You gotta
Okay,
create-
so
You gotta create a work ethic.
it's coming.
Exactly.
It's already in the works. And I forgot to send you all the email, but the hosting of the event that happened at the Boys and Girls Club, that was the EPA. That was Eagle. That was all the right players. And they already know I've raised so much, and I'll say it, hell, that we don't need it outside of the realms of our 4 square miles. We need it in our school. And it's specifically to certify whoever, not just our students. If you want certification, anybody want to reroute their career, they're coming. And the classes are coming up next month. And I will make sure that everybody gets the email because I forgot to send it because you must register.
We're thinking about CTE is directly connected to schools.
Exactly. They are aware of that. And they're the ones that can make it happen because it's talking about federal funds. And if they're talking about putting more money towards education, they are aware that we need an operator for that water plant out there, as well as the plumbing of the infrastructure, building up on our public works, all of that.
I think that it behooves us to start them as young as we can.
Exactly. Can I get my question answered before we take off?
Well, what question you got?
It was the placemaking before you ran through
No,
number
there's no
5.
place for it right now.
Huh?
Placement.
Yes, number 4. Because I don't want this thing to get away because too often since I've been back here, money has come to Benton Harbor, but it always ends up going through.
Can we we're bringing that to the full body and any questions that you have, Mr. Lee.
Okay. But I would like to add that our commissioner
Which one?
of the 4th Ward made some very valid statements that should be in that document.
About what?
I mean, any revisions come through us
Oh, yeah.
before they take place.
I do think that as a body, we're on the right page. But I'm gonna say this in my closing.
Building up one area at a time, but we need to,
No.
we gotta get the.
We're about to adjourn the meeting in 5 minutes. If somebody got something they want to say, please pull forward. There was a young man who came here from Cornerstone who got fired. And I had the privilege of last meeting going to a restaurant. Him and his mother-in-law were there and his child. And he was doing exactly what me, Mayor Muhammad, Shaquille Turner, most of us have done in the past. And I commended him for speaking truth to power. That's what he does. I was doing that boy was born. With mama, grandmama, great grandmama, all of them. And I'm not against him.
Something's not adding up.
I'm with him. With Shockwave Pitchford, these young gentlemen who are coming up. I'm not against them. I'm with them. Just like Ricky Hill and Ralph Crenshaw, when they were coming up. When it was their time to give over the reins and Wilson Cook. What does not need to happen is we don't need to destroy our leadership, and we don't have leadership.
Mm.
We need to have leadership that's coming up behind, that's ready to take the reins and keep it moving.
But be respectful.
That young man got fired for telling the truth.
Who fired him?
Cornerstone fired him for telling the truth. And until I get an answer, because I was that young man before, I stood up and said that they were doing what they wanted to do. And they fired him because he told us the truth. He said they were gonna do what they wanted to do with that alley no matter what.
And they did.
He said, and he looked like he was about to jump over the stairs. I said, let the brother talk, let the brother talk.
Who was it?
And so I'm gonna leave with this.
Oh, no, couldn't be.
I'm gonna leave with this. If we do not support our people in work positions,
See,
hold on. If we don't support our children when they're right,
when they're right.
then don't kick them when they're wrong.
What?
If you don't support them when they're right, then don't kick them when they're wrong.
What do you want us to do?
With
Well,
that.
I already got a plan for it.
Will you share it with us at another time?
I'm gonna share with you at a total another time. But if my son or your son, or whoever comes and speaks truth to power,
Mm-hmm.
and they lose their employment for being honest,
Yeah,
and we don't support them because it was the truth that he told.
and it may be, but Honorable Chair,
Listen,
something else happened,
most of the money that they are procuring comes from us.
comes for us.
And if we don't do something,
What do you want us to do, Chair?
I'm gonna tell you. In a few days.
Okay. You the chair. This is an economic development.
I wanna tell you, Mr. Little, to your face, not behind your back.
Okay,
I appreciate
and now
what
is
you-
the time.
I appreciate what you've done for this department. This department is fully functioning. We have not gotten this much money in the past. Neither had certain things that
But
are
it was
happening.
coming anyway. What did you talking about?
Well, Mr. Little, you ain't did nothing.
It
was coming anyway.
Mr.
You know
Little.
what?
Yo, God bless that.
I'm glad that we know what to do with it. Now that it's showing up. But it's
Mr. Little. Mr. Little, they close